PaperBag series. I am with your co-host, Mr. Kola Adetola.
Thank you. I'm here with your host, Mr. Brandon Lewis.
Welcome back to For Your Ears Only. And I want to start off with a question. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody uses a phrase that is commonly used, but it seems like you're the only person that realizes that common phrase is actually pretty dumb? For example, when somebody makes the statement that they don't regret any decisions that they made because it made them who they are. I don't know about you, but it's at least 12 things that I've done in my life that I would love to get the rewind button on. With that being said, I want to bring up something in particular. A couple of days ago, Sierra posted a video hosted by Pastor John Gray of Lakewood Church out in Houston. This is a very prominent pastor, and he actually went on a bit of a rant with people in his fellowship when he was actually talking and broaching the subject of marriage. He actually brought up the idea or the concern that many single women have when they come to him in hopes of getting advice about getting married. And his response was to get out of, quote unquote, the spirit of a girlfriend in order to become a wife. I grew up in my church. I grew up in church my whole life. I often like to joke and say that I was in church 9 months before I was born. And even though that I grew up in church culture, I have to be the first person to say that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Not only is there nowhere in scripture that it's ever referencing a spirit of a girlfriend, we're trying to interpolate the culture of Semitic peoples over 2,000 years ago into modern day Western secular society in the United States. Not just in a different country, but in an entirely different continent. Aside from that, I get it though. Most churches in the United States profit off of a model where most people who go to churches in America are primarily women. And most of the women that go in these churches are younger and single. So they're looking at situations where their main demographic has a major life concern and need, and they want to be able to speak to it. The problem that I have with it is far too many men are telling women what they need to do in order to attract men. I guess the reason I want to address this particular subject is because it's a lot deeper than just the surface issue. And the reason I say that is because throughout the United States, they've got conferences, they've got seminars, they've got webinars, they've got prayer lines about all these different ways that women can turn themselves spiritually, physically, inside out in order to attract a husband. But the problem that I have with this culture is that in all of my 30 plus years of life, I've never seen conferences that attract men to become husbands. I've never seen sermons talking about the qualities of a godly husband. I've never even been brought or invited to a retreat to teach men or young men all the tools and tactics and techniques they need in order to become mature, responsible, honorable, or even just basically decent enough to become somebody that somebody wants to lead and start a family with. But yet here, we've got a multi-million-dollar industry throughout the United States where tons of resources, books, DVDs, sermons, and ebooks have been written to teach women what they need to do. And it's pretty much the gospel equivalent of think like a man and think like a woman, or I don't know how to say it. Think like a Christian and yet try to get the man. I think that's a better way to put it. At this particular point in time, we've got to be able to call bullshit what it is. And it is. It's just bullshit. I know it kind of sounds kind of weird to say bullshit when I'm talking about church kind of things. However, this isn't a churchy vlog, so I guess I can get away with that. But the answer is, it's bullshit. The honest truth of the matter is this. When we're teaching women in churches all across America that according to this 1,500-year-old text that they can't choose because they have to be chosen, then now you've taken agency out of their hands And you're teaching them everything that they have to do, that even though they have to be chosen, the reason that they haven't been chosen yet is because there's still something wrong with them. I don't know about y'all, but that is some serious mind, you know what, if you get my drift. And don't get me wrong, there are different issues with different people throughout the spectrum. Men have issues, women have issues. We got trauma from intergenerational years of slavery and systematic oppression and all that. We also have here in the Western cultures a real gender war between men and women. But the issue at hand is not for churches to find another revenue stream by teaching women that there's still something wrong with them, that they have to turn themselves inside out in order to attract the right guy. I mean, let's be real and let's be honest. We're at a point in time, especially in the black church, where the black demographic of black women are the most educated demographic in the entire United States. Not only that, but they're also the fastest growing sector of entrepreneurs. Now, we have that type of sector and that type of ascendancy with black women, but we don't see the same par with men. A large chunk of men are still sitting in the prison industrial complex. And yet we don't address those things head on in churches or in public spheres. And yet we've got people who are in pulpits that are acting like the Wizard of Oz, that are making a whole bunch of movements behind the curtain and telling people not to pay attention. It's time out for that. The prison industrial complex has taken a huge number of black men from our community. Not only that, but black men are not going to college and they're not getting the high-paying jobs and careers that black women are getting. There's plenty of brothers that are doing well for themselves, but not in the same number. And because of that, there's going to be an imbalance. Because if there's one thing that happens regardless of culture, is that women tend to be attracted to a man at their class level or higher. This is the issue that we're dealing with right now. There are a lot of sisters that are doing well for themselves, and they're not going to take a back step just because a brother didn't put in his work on his own either. And what you have is a scarcity issue with supply being very, very low, yet demand is very, very high. So rather than address the issue head on, where churches can get involved in rehabilitation programs and reducing recidivism rates for ex-felons, and also providing youth programs to keep young kids out of trouble and out of jail, and also providing tutoring and academic assistance to prevent these kids who are failing at marginal levels from getting pushed into the school to prison pipeline. It's much easier to paint this fairy tale picture that the reason why all these women are single is because they obviously haven't faithed hard enough. And we just got to be honest with it. The bottom line at this particular point is we've got to stop using cheap parlor tricks, whether it be Christian or otherwise, to make women feel like they're less than because they don't have a man in their life. A woman is way more than just the sum of who she loves and the sum of the people who love her. Just like every man is much more than the sum of what he does and what he makes. And it's high time in 2018 that we get real about who we are. This is Desmond Hardy, and this is For Your Ears Only.